Hi, welcome to Mimi's Kitchen. Today I want to share with you a family recipe that I make during the holidays for my family. They often request it, even if it's not the holidays that requested, and that's homemade cheesecake. I'm going to go over the ingredients with you and share a little bit of the process of what we're going to use in terms of baking the cheesecake as well. Now, for this recipe, you will need 2 cups of crushed graham crackers, 1 stick of melted butter, half a cup of sugar. We're also going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon, and optional, but I do like it in the cheesecake, and that's going to be half a cup of chopped walnuts. Now, the filling will consist of 2 packages of softened Philadelphia cream cheese, or your choice of cream cheese. I add a pint of sour cream, also 1 cup of sugar, 3 eggs. We add a half a cup of Eagle brand condensed milk. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla, and then we're going to zest the entire lemon. And that's going to go in the filling. Now, our next things that we're going to add, that I will be showing you how I prepare, is the filling, the top for the cheesecake. We're going to use blueberries, and we're going to use strawberries, and we're going to make a glaze for the top as well. And we're going to make homemade whipped topping with heavy whipping cream. Now, when baking the cheesecake, I do prefer to use a springform pan. This is optional. You don't have to use a springform pan. With this method of baking the cheesecake, you will put it in what we call a water bath. Now, the purpose of the water bath, it helps keep the moisture of the cheesecake, and it will help it from cracking on top. I sometimes will use my tart pan, or you can use a glass pan, and it will not need to go, you don't need to put it in a water bath. Okay, that is an optional thing. It's going to be your preference in terms of what you like to use in terms of baking. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to start with preparing the ingredients for our crust, for our bottom layer, and then we're going to go into the filling. Okay, so let's get started. I'm excited to show you the process of making the cheesecake. Okay, so now we're going to build the crust. So we have 2 cups of crushed graham crackers. We have 1 stick of melted butter. We're going to mix all these together. And next we have half a cup of sugar. Next we have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then finally we have half a cup of chopped walnuts. Now we're going to mix all of this together. We want to make sure all of the butter is fully incorporated with the cinnamon and sugar. And this is just it's a rich crust. But once it's cooked with the walnuts, you'll see how the flavors really mellow together. You'll be able to taste that rich goodness of the crust. You see how the crust is very crumbly. It's not gluey. You can't form it into a ball. It's very loose, and that's what you want, a very loose crust. Still mixing that together. Okay, so now we're going to take the crust, and we're going to add the crust to the springform pan, slightly oiled, just a little bit of oil that will help the crust from sticking to the pan. Now when you have the crust in the pan, you want to spread it out. But what we want trying to accomplish here is that we want to build a base. I have a mallet and I also have a fork that I use for pressing the crust down. After it's thoroughly pressed down, then I will slightly raise it to the sides because we do want crust around the side of the cheesecake as well. So I'm thoroughly pressing it down, and then I'm building a base, and now I'm going to use my fingers to push it up around the sides. Okay, so I pressed the graham cracker crust into the springform pan, and I did oil the pan as well. We're going to chill the crust in the refrigerator for 10 minutes, and now we're going to get started on the filling. Okay, so this is the process for making the cheesecake filling. We have 2 packages of 16-ounce cream cheese that's softened. This is our Philadelphia cream cheese. Now we're going to mix this for 1 minute. And that 1 minute allows us to incorporate air within the cheesecake. Now as we start this mixing, we're going to start out on a slow speed, and you're going to see that I will increase the speed during this process. Continuing to mix the cream cheese. I'm increasing the speed now to help incorporate air in the cheesecake. This will allow for a creamy, smooth texture to the cheesecake. Now we're going to add eggs one at a time. And in between adding the eggs, we're going to make sure that the eggs are getting mixed within the cream cheese. And then we're going to stop. We're going to stop the mixing, and we're going to scrape down the cream cheese. We want to make sure that it's mixing thoroughly. And then we're going to increase the speed. Now we've added 1 egg. And now we're going to add an additional egg to the mix. It's very important that you add 1 egg at a time. Now we've mixed that egg in, and then we have 1 final egg to add to the cream cheese. You'll start to see the texture change as you're mixing. And again, we're going to stop the mixing process, and we want to scrape down the sides to make sure that the cream cheese pulls from the side of the mixing bowl. And now we're going to start mixing again. Okay, so now I'm adding the sugar a little at a time, and you can see that our speed is slightly higher than when we were incorporating our eggs. And a little bit more sugar. And next, after the sugar, we're going to alternate between the sugar and the sweetened condensed milk. You see how thick it is as it's coming out. And now we're going to milk. And now what I've got to do, because this is very thick, I'm going to need to scrape the sweetened condensed milk into our cheesecake mixing. Okay, and we're going to continue to mix. Same speed, and now we're going to add the remaining sugar. Now after the sugar is fully incorporated, next we're going to start to add our sour cream. Still at the same speed. Okay, so now we're at the process. We're going to start by adding the remaining sour cream, continuing to mix at the same speed. Sure that that remaining bit of sour cream is fully mixed into our cheesecake mixing process. And we're still mixing at the same speed. Scraping down again, and you'll see that this is a very loose batter. It's runny. That's what we want, and we see no lumps. That's also what we want, because we'll know that it's very the consistency of what we're looking for. It's almost like a cake batter when we pour it out. That is continuing to mix. We have two remaining ingredients to add to our cheesecake batter. And we're going to add next, we have pure vanilla. Pure vanilla is the best. Now we're baking 1 teaspoon pure vanilla. Zest this, I did zest 1 whole lemon. I like it a little bit more of a zest, so I did use half of another lemon. That's why you'll see so much zest in this one. Just a little bit more zest was added. And that is the last ingredient that will be added. Okay, so now we have our chilled crust and we have our cheesecake batter. You see it's very creamy and very smooth, and again, no lumps. We're going to pour this into the chilled crust. We want to make sure we get all of the batter into our cheesecake crust. And as you can see, it's very, very creamy, very smooth, no lumps. So now we're ready to bake. We're going to bake this on 325 for 50 minutes. I'm going to bake this without a water bath. I want you to see the process of how you can bake it in a spring form without the water bath. Okay, so now our cheesecake is out of the oven. Cooked it at 325 for 50 minutes. Now I did cook it on a baking pan. This is just a round baking pan. It's a pizza pan. I cooked it on that this time instead of cooking in the water bath. And you'll see that it came out really creamy and smooth, no cracks. And when you take it out, if you jiggle it a little bit, shake it a little bit, you'll see that it has a little bit of jiggle to it. It's going to cool, and then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for 4 hours after it's cooled. And then after it's cooled, I'm going to show you how we're going to prepare the toppings for the cheesecake. Okay, so now the cheesecake has been sitting on the table. It's been resting, and it's come to room temperature. So before placing it into the refrigerator, I want to release it from the pan. So I'm simply taking a knife all the way around the edges of the cheesecake to make sure that no parts of the cheesecake are stuck to the pan before releasing it. You'll see how some of the crumbs have come over to the side, but that's perfectly fine because we're going to garnish this cheesecake. And now we've released it from the pan, and you can see how the crust has fully baked in the cheesecake, and we have a nice cheesecake with no cracks. Okay, so now we're ready to prepare the blueberry sauce for the cheesecake. I have 2 cups of washed blueberries. I have a half a cup of sugar, and then I have a half of a lemon, squeezed lemon. I'm pouring the blueberries into a half a cup of water, and that's water that's already warm. I'm adding a half a cup of sugar, and then I have half of a squeezed lemon. We're going to stir that on the stove for about 2 to 3 minutes. We want the blueberries to pop open, and that's how we're going to make our sauce for our cheesecake. We're going to constantly stir that, and 2 to 3 minutes, this sauce will be ready. Okay, so this is the process for making the whipping cream. I had a little bit of technical difficulty on this one. So I have a chilled bowl. This has been in the freezer for 30 minutes along with the blade. We're going to chill those. That helps the whipping process. You're going to see that there's 1 pint of heavy whipping cream. We have our pure vanilla, and then we also have our sugar. There's 2 tablespoons of sugar. And now we're going to start the mixing. Now, when you do whip this, you're going to whip it on a very high speed. While this is mixing, we'll add the sugar. And then next we're going to incorporate our pure vanilla. And I'm adding 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla to the cream as it's mixing. And as this mix, you're going to see, and I added just a little bit of extra vanilla to it as well, just for added flavor. As this is mixing, it's going to come to a peak, and you're going to see that you're going to have homemade whipped cream. And you mix this for 3 minutes. Okay, so now you'll see how that is whipped into cream. And then we have our whipped cream. We're going to continue this whipping, and then we'll be back. Okay, so now we're back. I did taste the whipped topping. I think it needs just a little bit more sugar, so we're going to add a little bit more sugar to the whipping process. So now that that's fully mixed, you'll see that our whipped cream has the right consistency that we're looking for. So if you're ever wanting to make whipped cream, it's very simple. So we have our sliced strawberries in the refrigerator, they're chilling. We've made our blueberry sauce, it's chilling as well. And our cheesecake has been in the refrigerator for 4 hours. So now we're ready to plate our cheesecake, and we're going to show you the final product. Okay, so, hi, welcome back. So now we have our chilled cheesecake. We have our sliced strawberries, and we have the blueberry sauce that we made, and we have our whipped topping. So now we're going to add our toppings to our cheesecake. Now I like arranging the strawberries so that the strawberries are layered. They're touching, but they're layered all the way around the circumference of the cheesecake. We're going to add these around the entire rim of the cheesecake. And you'll see how I'm arranging them. And after we arrange these around the center, we're going to add whipped cream to these as well. And they're all going the same direction. All the way around the cheesecake. And after we've completed that all the way around, so now we want to add whipped topping. Okay, so there we have it. We've placed our strawberries on, and now let's add a little bit of topping to it as well. Now I like placing the whipped topping kind of like in between the strawberries is what we're going to do. Just a dollop in between. And we're doing this so that every piece just has a little bit of whipped topping. We'll do that around the entire circumference of the cheesecake. And now we're going to plate it. Hi, welcome back. So now we've added the toppings to our cheesecake and we have our blueberry sauce, and now we're going to plate it. I like adding the blueberry sauce to the plate just as an accent. And it comes out absolutely delicious. Like I said, this is one of my family's favorites, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching me make Mimi's cheesecake. See the creaminess of the texture? It's absolutely delicious, creamy.